Welcome to ARBEC Forest Products, Inc., Miramichi, OSB Division. The mill is located on the banks of the majestic Miramichi River in the heart of the city of Miramichi, New Brunswick. ARBEC Forest Products, Inc. manufactures a product called Oriented Strand Board, commonly known as OSB. OSB is used for sheathing on roofs, floors, and walls in the construction of residential housing and commercial buildings, and has very similar uses to that of plywood. Here at ARBEC Miramichi, we produce enough OSB to build approximately 100,000 houses per year, and it is shipped to customers all over Eastern North America. The facility has been in operation since 2012 when the Saputo family purchased a mill from Weyerhaeuser Company Limited in 2011. The first board was produced in Miramichi on October 8, 2012. The mill employs 152 people in the mill operations and maintenance, along with 35 contractor employees in the log yard and shipping operations. Several maintenance contractors in Miramichi and surrounding areas employ 50 to 100 employees during scheduled maintenance shutdowns every 2 weeks. The logs that we buy to manufacture OSB are sourced from a surplus of low-quality hardwood and softwood logs for which there is no other use. These logs are typically left over from higher-quality log operations conducted by other sawmills in the region. Log trucks deliver low-grade logs to ARBEC's log yard from woods harvest operations, where they are weighed using a truck scale. The truck drives onto the scale, and the gross weight of the load is recorded by a licensed scaler. The load is inspected for quality and then directed to the mill infeed area or to a pile-down area in the log yard, where the trailer is unloaded. Logs are purchased by 3 species groups at ARBEC: poplar, mixed hardwood, and mixed softwood. The truck then returns to the scale houses where the empty truck is weighed out to obtain the tare weight. The difference between the gross weight and the tare weight presents the net weight of the logs that are unloaded. That weight is then converted into cubic meters using provincial conversion factors that are developed from industry volume sampling. At ARBEC, we use the water displacement method or the Archimedes principle. The water displacement method involves taking the inbound weight of the truck and trailer, then having the truck pull ahead so that a log loader can remove a grapple of wood from the load before the truck backs onto the scales and is weighed again to determine the weight of the sample. The scaler then records the initial level transmitter reading before the log loader dunks the sample into the displacement tank to set a mark on the grapple. The scaler takes a second level transmitter reading to determine the volume displaced. The grapple volume is deducted from the displaced volume. The sample is then laid out in the sampling area for further scalar inspection of bar coverage and rot that displaces water and defective log volumes to determine a net sample volume. Logs piled into log yard inventory are reclaimed or used in the mill on a first-in, first-out basis to turn over the log yard inventory on a regular basis. This helps to ensure consistent wood moisture into the hot ponds. Logs being reclaimed from the log yard inventory may have been piled into the log yard 3 or 4 months before. The species mix into the mill is controlled by the hot pond operator using grapple counts. Currently, we are using 1 grapple of poplar, 1 grapple of mixed hardwood, and 1 grapple of mixed softwood for a 1-1-1 mix. ARBEC has a log yard contractor hired to handle all log yard activities using log loaders, trucks and trailers, snowplows, salt spreader trucks, and front-end loaders. ARBEC's woodland staff are responsible for supervising their work and administering the contracts. In the OSB process, hardwood and softwood logs pass through one of 2 self-cleaning water-filled heated hot ponds, which travel under the roadway. The purpose of the water-filled ponds is to condition the wood for ease of bark removal and, in winter, to thaw the frozen wood. The logs enter the mill where they travel up the jack ladders, get singled out in the step feeders, and then travel to one of 3 debarkers. 2 ring debarkers inside the woodroom, and 1 drum debarker outside the woodroom. The bark from the logs is transported to the drier section of the mill, where it is processed in a wet fuel hog into smaller pieces suitable for burning in the furnace. The debarked logs are processed in one of 3 stranders into strands approximately 1/2 inch by 4/2 inch in size. Dull knives are transported to the knife grinding room, where they are cleaned, separated, and placed on the grinding machine for sharpening. The knives are then removed, reassembled, and boxed in sets ready for the next knife change. Knives on the flakers need to be changed out on a 4 to 5 hour frequency or sooner if they become dull. The process of changing knives involves 2 employees working together in a pit stop that takes about 30 to 40 minutes. The flakes are then transported to one of the 3 storage bins above the 3 dryers. The strands in the wet storage bins are then dried in one of 3 single-pass dryers to lower the moisture from 75% to 2.5%, and then screened and sent to dry storage bins. Bark from logs or hog fuel is burned in a wood-fired furnace in order to heat thermal oil for the press, the hot ponds, and building heaters. Screenings and panel trim are processed in a hammer mill and burned in the dryer wood suspension burners to produce heat for the 3 dryers. The combustion gases from the furnace, where the bark is burned, are passed through multi-cyclone collectors prior to being directed to 3 dryers, then to primary and secondary cyclone particulate collectors, and then onto a wet electrostatic precipitator before being discharged to the atmosphere through a 200-foot main stack. The dried flakes are weighed and combined with a liquid emulsified wax and liquid phenol formaldehyde resin in one of 2 blenders. The resonated flakes are sent to one of 4 forming bins and then laid down in 4 layers, 2 surface and 2 core, on the forming line of 8x24 metal mesh mats. The formed mats of flakes are pressed into the boards in an 8x24 12-opening press. Once the panels have been pressed and cured, the panels are trimmed. Nail lines applied, cut into 4x8 panels, and sent down the line to be scanned for imperfections, stamped, and then stacked into bundles. The bundle size depends on the thickness of the boards being manufactured that day. ARBEC makes 1/4 inch, 7/16 inch, 1/2 inch, 15 by 32 inch, 19 32 inch, and 23 32 inch thicknesses. ARBEC also makes tongue and groove board in the 19 by 32 inch and 23 by 32 inch thicknesses. These bundles are then edge painted, packaged, and sent to the lower warehouse and stored for future transportation. Some of the bundles are wrapped in plastic using the Auto Raptor for transportation on center beam rail cars. The wrap aids in storage outside in the weather. Randomly sampled finished panels go through a strenuous set of quality tests to ensure that they meet industry standards for strength, durability, and moisture resistance in the quality control lab. Test results are audited quarterly by TICO, a third-party auditor. Some bundles are transported to the upper warehouse, where they are stored and then loaded onto rail cars for transportation to markets in central and southern United States. On average, 40 rail cars per week are shipped out to the market. Approximately 20 truckloads per day leave the lower warehouse destined for Atlantic Canada and New England markets. ARBEC recently celebrated 10 years of operation in October 2022.